Hello, I'm Dr. Stephen Andrew Missick, and I want to talk about my grade from the NRA, the National Rifle Association. Actually, I have seen President Trump like 5 times now in different rallies, and one of the rallies I attended was the National Rifle Association here in Houston. And I listened to Trump's speech, and this was shortly after the Uvalde shooting. And I've worked the border, and have had to go through Uvalde several times, and that was a tragic shooting. There's a lot of strange things about that. I don't see how somebody who worked a Wendy's drive-through was able to afford such expensive weapons, armaments, and ammunition. It's very strange. And the security protocol of that school was so weak. And to me, it's an outrage that the security and the police allowed that man to run amok, killing people, and they wouldn't let anybody go in there to stop him. So a lot of things went wrong, but I'm not going to allow anybody to use any pretense to take away our civil liberties and our constitutional rights, which include the right to protect ourselves with firearms. It's a constitutional right. I believe in the Second Amendment, and I'm going to oppose any legislation that has its goal to disarm the American people and to take away our right to bear arms, which is guaranteed to us by our United States Constitution. So I am a member of the NRA. I support the NRA, and I support gun rights, and I'll oppose any legislation which I feel restricts American citizens' gun rights. So I guess some people think I'm a gun nut, but to me, I wasn't really big on weapons. I didn't really have a firearm until Bill Clinton became president and he started pushing gun control. And it's like, whoa, wait a minute. Our Bill of Rights, liberty. To me, I value freedom of speech, freedom of religion, and the right to petition our government and freedom of assembly more than I value the right to bear arms. But they're all connected. And they're all under attack. And it's like, if you're going to take away our right to bear arms, you're going to take our freedom of speech, freedom of religion, the right to peacefully assemble, because they're all connected. And it's like, no, I'm not going to stand for having our constitutional rights stripped away from us. And some people consider the right to bear arms, even though I value freedom of religion as a Christian pastor first, freedom of speech and freedom of religion, because I want to practice my faith, since I'm called to Christian ministry. Number one. Number two, I need to preach the gospel, so I have to have freedom of religion to practice my faith, and I have to have freedom of speech to be an evangelical Christian and proclaim my faith. But some people consider the first freedom to actually be your right to bear arms, because it's a way you protect your other liberties. And there's some truth to that. So I'm very serious about protecting the right to bear arms. So the NRA sent me a questionnaire, and basically I let people know in certain terms that I'm not going to allow them to take our guns away. For any reason whatsoever. No gun restrictions at all. I'm not going to support any, because I believe in our Bill of Rights, and I value our freedoms, and one of the freedoms enumerated in our Bill of Rights is the right to bear arms. I'm not taking our freedoms away from us. I'm just not going to put up with it. And as a military service member, I'm trained and proficient in the use of weapons. So, it says, this is Dr. Missick, Dr. Stephen Missick. Dear Stephen, on behalf of the NRA's Political Victory Fund, our members in the Texas House District 18, I am pleased to announce your AQ rating for the March 2024 primary election. This message is from the National Rifle Association of America, their Political Victory Fund. So they said that I've gotten an AQ. What does that mean? That means I haven't been voting yet. That's based on my positions. They also are going to look at my voting record once I'm in office. Of course, I'm going to oppose any legislation that has any restrictions whatsoever on our Second Amendment liberties. So it says your rating is based on the positive responses to our NRA PVF candidate questionnaire. It'll be listed on our website by mid-January and shared with NRA members prior to the primary. Please feel free to communicate your rating to the voters in the district. Best of luck with your campaign. So that's what I'm doing. I'm letting people know I'm good with the NRA. So I have my preacher shirt with my the cross. It's got guns. It's got these little bullets going around making a halo around the cross, because look, in the Bible, right, yes, Jesus loves people. I love people. Jesus is compassionate. He's kind. He says to turn the other cheek and love your enemies. And I believe in all of that. But on the other hand, 2 of Jesus' disciples were armed, according to the Gospel of Luke. So you had 12 apostles, and probably the 2 Simons, Simon Peter and Simon the Zealot, apparently, were armed. So among the 12 apostles, Jesus had 2 disciples. From among them, they were armed. So they're probably doing concealed carry. So what's good enough for Jesus, what's good enough for the Bible, is good enough for me. And if you believe in carrying a weapon, then that's your right according to the Constitution. If you don't want to carry a weapon, that's on you. Like as a chaplain, I'm a non-combatant when I'm in the military, and I think that chaplains should be allowed to carry a weapon for self-defense, like a sidearm. But the policy is, the American military is we don't, and so that means we have to depend on our chaplain system to be our armed escort. But some chaplains might feel like they shouldn't carry a weapon, and so I respect that. So this is our Constitution. These are our rights. If you don't want to enjoy that right personally, it's still a right from our Constitution, and our constitutional rights need to be protected because that's what keeps our nation free, safe, and prosperous, an armed citizenry. So, and look in the Bible. We have many heroes of the faith who were military men, Joshua, David, and others. So it's good to be warriors for the cross, I believe. And yes, we do have love and compassion. It's not we're going around fighting and killing people. That's not our objective, but we need to keep people safe. We need to keep ourselves safe. And one of the ways to do that is enjoying the rights that we have under our Constitution, the right to self-defense, through the right to bear arms, which I am going to, as an elected official, when I joined the military, I had to affirm, either swear a vow or affirm that you're telling the truth, that you're going to protect and defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And honestly, people who are trying to disarm the populace of the United States of America, they're enemies of the Constitution. And we have to fight and defeat them through our elections and through the legislative process because we need to keep America strong, safe, and free so we can be a beacon of hope and a light and example to the rest of the world. And I believe, honestly, that there's a lot of suffering around the world that doesn't have to happen. Like in Mexico, people don't have the right to bear arms. What happens? Well, the Mexican cartels have weapons, and people have to live in fear. Look in England, there's a lot of problems over in England, and they have too restrictive gun laws. And you see what happened in Australia. They took away people's right to bear arms, and now there's a lot of totalitarian tendencies, shockingly. Especially under COVID, it's like, this is Australia? There's a lot of similarities between the United States and Australia. And they gave up their right to bear arms, and now you have the heavy hand of government and the jackboot of authoritarianism on their necks. So don't allow them to take your right to bear arms away. And actually, we should wish that other countries enjoyed the right to bear arms as we do. Look in Israel. If there's a lot of restrictions on gun ownership there, and if more people had privately owned firearms, then not so many people would have necessarily had to have died during this Hamas attack. So gun ownership, the right to bear arms, is a good thing. It's a positive thing, and I believe it's a Christian thing. And I'll conclude with this. When I was at the NRA rally with Trump, actually, I lost the YouTube channel over that because I recorded his message and I uploaded it on YouTube, and they gave me a strike and took my channel down over that, which is, it's like, well, Trump said this or that, that's against our policy. It's like, it's historically important. He's a public figure. See, that's the thing. These people are totalitarians. They don't want us to have discussion, debate, or dialogue. They want to silence people. They silenced me. So our liberty is under attack. But Trump, we rang a bell for each of the victims of the Uvalde incident, attack, school shooting. And then he brought up one of the deacons from White Settlement Church. I think it was a Church of Christ. I have a lot of family in Church of Christ in Kentucky and Tennessee, where I'm from. And I've been in Texas since elementary school, 5th grade. But my roots are in Tennessee and Kentucky. So he had this man that came up because somebody came into that church with the intent not to worship God, not to listen to the preaching of the word, but to do people harm. He wanted to carry out a mass shooting in a church. And what happened is the deacons and the elders of that church were armed. So that man she killed a very kindly man. I think he killed 2 elders. But that man was shot to pieces quickly because other deacons and other church members were armed. And sadly, 2 people died, but it could have been 15, 20, like they did in Sutherland Springs outside of San Antonio. So leftists, and we also see this like I said, I have family in Nashville, Tennessee. I grew up there, and this transgender radical went into my father was. I actually grew up. I do have family that's Church of Christ, but my earliest church memories are a Presbyterian church, even though I'm Evangelical Baptist, and I pastor a Messianic congregation here in Cleveland, Texas. So seeing a Presbyterian church get shot up by a radicalized transgender activist that was had hatred of Christians instilled in her from our liberal elites is shocking and disturbing, but shows the need that we have. The left, the FBI is doing this too. They're targeting conservative traditionalist Christians and Catholics, and because the left hates Christianity, because they don't want to tolerate the worship of any other god other than the state, the power of the federal government. That's the only god that they deign to worship. And you have shows like The Handmaid's Tale. A lot of leftists fear and hate Christians, of traditionalist Catholics and evangelical Christians, and the news media, entertainment, they're inciting hatred against us, which can lead to violence. And that's why Christians need to be armed to protect themselves. Sadly, those 2 men were martyred in that church, but it could have been a lot worse. Thank God that people in that church were armed. So our president, Donald J. Trump, who won the 2016 and the 2020 election, he had this deacon come up and honored him for going to church armed and saving the life of his congregants and his brothers and sisters in Christ. So I'm not ashamed of the cross of Jesus Christ, the Bible. My identity as a Christian. I'm not ashamed of my conservative principles. I'm not ashamed of my devotion to the Constitution. I'm not ashamed that I am pro-gun. So if you support the right to bear arms, vote for Dr. Missick. So thank you, and God bless you.